In early 2025, detectives in New South Wales began noticing a troubling trend in car thefts across Sydney. At first, it seemed like the usual wave of stolen vehicles, but soon the pattern grew sinister. These cars weren't disappearing for joyrides or resale. They were being repurposed as tools for violence. Known as kill cars, these vehicles were used in shootings, kidnappings, and murders. What started as simple data on missing vehicles eventually exposed a horrifying evolution in organized crime, a world where contracts for murder were offered like freelance jobs, and teenagers signed up to kill strangers for cash. Before we dive into one of the most shocking evolutions in Australian crime, make sure to subscribe to Crime Cypher and ring the bell icon. Today, we uncover how stolen cars, teenagers, and technology merged to create a criminal system so ruthless it turned murder into just another job. This is the story of G7, Sydney's gig economy of death. Each stolen vehicle revealed careful planning. These weren't opportunistic thefts but highly organized operations. Cars were fitted with cloned license plates, pre-positioned across Sydney, and stocked with petrol, gloves, masks, and weapons. In some cases, detectives discovered full kidnapping kits, including sledgehammers, bats, pillowcases, and gaffer tape. By mid-2025, as violent clashes between the Alamdine Crime Network and KVT intensified, Task Force Falcon was formed to stop the chaos. Police quickly realized that what they were facing wasn't just a gang war, it was a brand new, disturbing criminal system. That system went by the name G7, a loose collective of over 30 young men and teenagers, some just 15 years old, who treated crime like a freelance gig. Unlike traditional crime families with hierarchy and loyalty, G7 operated purely for profit. They offered services to anyone willing to pay, sometimes even working for opposing factions simultaneously. Police allege they supplied stolen cars, firearms, and surveillance for multiple groups. Detective Superintendent Jason Box described them as young men willing to commit serious crimes without hesitation or conscience, noting that they didn't just carry out violence, they provided the planning, tools, and cleanup. The consequences of G7's model were terrifying. In March 2025, two 15-year-olds allegedly linked to the group fired 28 bullets into a family home in Maryland while a mother and her 4 children slept inside. By mere luck, no one was killed. Weeks later, the same teens targeted another home in Guildford West, again narrowly missing residents. By May, shootings across Sydney were becoming relentless. Dozens were linked to prepped kill cars, ready for immediate deployment. It became clear that Sydney wasn't just facing gangs anymore, it was confronting a contract-based system of murder operated by teenagers. By late July, police raids revealed the scale of the operation. The Raptor squad stormed a property in Menai, finding $30,000 in cash, cocaine, a shotgun, and 14 encrypted phones. Bly Collins, 21, arrested on the scene, had G7 tattooed across his forearms, a mark of pride and defiance. Other suspects, including Tyrese Paraku in Blacktown, were caught with guns, cash, and drugs. Even younger members were arrested, including an 18-year-old inside a correctional facility. Every raid uncovered more evidence: kill cars filled with petrol, GPS trackers, and encrypted devices ready for violent missions. By August 2025, authorities had arrested at least 13 G7 members, facing a combined 280 charges among 121 suspects. Investigators began to see that G7 wasn't an isolated gang, but a reflection of a new criminal era. Assistant Commissioner Scott Cook described it as air tasker for crooks, highlighting how encrypted apps allowed teenagers to advertise their services for car theft, surveillance, and shootings. Payments were made in Bitcoin, ensuring anonymity. Technology, greed, and ambition had created a digital underground, making it difficult to track or contain the violence. The danger of this system became painfully clear in October. Police intercepted 3 men allegedly hired by a Vietnamese syndicate, the Final Crime family, to kill a man collecting his children from a Rivesby daycare. These weren't hardened criminals, just ordinary people paid to murder. Police had replaced petrol with water in the kill car. When the men tried to execute their plan, the car wouldn't ignite, and they were arrested. This incident demonstrated the depth of G7's influence and the recklessness of gig-style crime, where inexperienced contractors take deadly jobs for money. The consequences of this freelance violence were tragic and unpredictable. Mistaken identities led to deaths, including Sydney plumber John Versace in May 2025 and teenager Luke Manus 2 months later. These were not planned hits but errors in a system that treats murder as a commodity. Teenagers with minimal experience and no connection to their targets were replacing traditional criminals, and the results were deadly. Technology amplified the chaos, with social media turning real violence into entertainment, blurring the line between content and crime despite laws introduced to ban such glorification. Task Force Falcon, Strike Force Flodine, and Strike Force Duncan have worked tirelessly to dismantle this system. Raids continue across Sydney, with police using battering rams, dogs, and tactical units to extract teenagers from fortified homes. Detective Jason Box emphasizes that arrests are only one part of the solution. The real fight is against the shadowy crime bosses and overseas financiers who profit from chaos. Yet the drug market, firearms trade, and cryptocurrency payments make stopping the system incredibly difficult. As long as it pays, replacements will emerge. G7 represents a new form of criminal culture. Its members aren't bound by loyalty or hierarchy, but by opportunity, attention, and greed. Tutorials on stealing cars, avoiding trackers, and evading police are shared online, even from inside prison. Smaller splinter groups have begun copying G7's methods, sometimes recruiting younger children, girlfriends, and friends, creating a self-replicating criminal ecosystem. What started as a gang has evolved into a culture, thriving on speed, digital networks, and chaos. The impact of G7's rise is no longer confined to Sydney. Police in Melbourne and Brisbane have detected similar patterns: cloned number plates, disposable vehicles, and shootings carried out by young offenders with no criminal history. This gig crime model is spreading nationwide through encrypted platforms, connecting individuals who may never meet in person. What started as a Sydney phenomenon is now an Australian epidemic, decentralized, digital, and highly efficient. Arrests are only temporary solutions. The system continues as long as demand exists. What makes G7 especially dangerous is how little commitment it requires to enter. Unlike traditional gangs, there are no initiation rituals, no long-term allegiance, and no obligation beyond the next job. A teenager with a stolen phone, an encrypted app, and access to a car can become part of a violent operation within hours. Police say this low barrier to entry has dramatically increased the speed at which violence can be organized, executed, and erased. As authorities adapt, so do the criminals. New platforms replace shutdown ones. New codes replace exposed language. And new recruits step in for those arrested. G7 may eventually disappear by name, but the system it pioneered is unlikely to vanish. It has already rewritten the rules of organized crime in Australia, faster, younger, and far more unpredictable. The story of G7 is more than teenage delinquency. It's a warning about how technology, greed, and desperation can create a new breed of criminal. If you want to follow the real stories behind Australia's most dangerous organized crime evolutions, subscribe to Crime Cypher and ring the bell icon.